As the week's news flowed in, a dispatch from India followed up on Earl Mountbatten's speech. Arriving in Kashmir, Pandit Nehru was greeted in traditional fashion by Sheikh Abdullah. The tall Kashmir leader had been released from prison to become head of the administration when Maharaja Sahari Singh, here returning to his capital, joined the Indian Dominion. When the Maharaja greeted the Indian Premier, it became clear to all observers that the proposed plebiscite was as good as settled, and that Kashmir would vote to remain within the Indian Dominion. That thought was reflected in Nehru's speech as he told the people that the Indian army would clear all invaders from their soil. In the western part of the province, tribesmen are now in full retreat. A new invasion has been reported at Jammu in the south. India and Pakistan have not yet found a solution for peace. The people of Kashmir celebrate newly won independence. Their rejoicing at the cutting of the Maharaja's oppressive powers is tempered by the realization that Kashmir is the stumbling block to peace between India, represented here by Prime Minister Pandit Nehru, and Pakistan, who sent no representative. Frontier battles have been going on incessantly, and the war that has even put the women of their state under arms occupies the minds of all on this Independence Day. Addressing the crowd, Pandit Nehru speaks of the plebiscite by which Kashmir will be able to affirm its accession to the Indian Dominion. It was this provisional union that last year precipitated the frontier incidents. As in the world's other trouble centers, it is the fanaticism that makes soldiers of women which defies solution by the peacemakers. A UNO commission is now on its way to the valley of Kashmir, the scenic beauty of which is world famous. Hopes of a settlement seem dim, for in a country where even young boys are put into uniform and given arms, peace must remain remote. A river procession is the climax to the 7-day-long celebration. The frontier war recedes as Pandit Nehru, accompanied by Sheikh Abdullah, Kashmir's Prime Minister, says farewell to the people of India's youngest state.
In spite of Pakistan's protests and the United Nations' disapproval, India has gone ahead with the incorporation of Kashmir into the Indian state. And now, by road and river, the people of Kashmir flock to the polling stations in their first ever general election. The National Conference Party is unopposed in 38 of the 75 constituencies, so it goes to the hustings with its victory already assured. The National Conference Party, which supports integration with India, is a secular party cutting right across the divisions between Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs, divisions which have brought years of bloodshed to Kashmir in the past. The fingers of voters are indelibly marked to prevent voting twice, particularly the Muslim women who look very much alike in their tent-like burqas. A feature of this age seems to be first to annex a country, then to promote an election. The Valley of Kashmir, beautiful even by the standards of the Indian subcontinent, lies under the shadow of war. Indian troops have been called on to repel guerrilla fighters near Srinagar, who, Delhi alleges, have the official support of the Pakistani government. Ever since independence, Indian possession of Kashmir, 85% Muslim, has been a thorn in the flesh of Pakistan. Resentment sometimes boils over, as now, when houses were destroyed on the outskirts of Srinagar. To ordinary people, it matters little whether they are governed by India or Pakistan. They want to live in peace. Onto the scene came United Nations military observers appointed when the ceasefire line was agreed 15 years ago. General Nimmo of Australia is their head. He saw a collection of arms taken from the guerrillas. According to Indian officers, they prove that the Pakistan government initiated the attacks. Karachi denies this, though admitting that the fighters have its sympathy. Some of the captured equipment is of Chinese make. People bereaved and made homeless in the struggle are the chief victims. Their earnest prayer is that India and Pakistan will settle their dispute and that peace and prosperity will return to Kashmir.
A girl from the Himalayas and a girl from London. And what's the link? How can it be that a primitive wanderer like this and a sophisticated miss like that can be dependent on each other? Here's a child of the hills who's never seen a motor car or a skyscraper capital. Yet there's a surprising connection between the wool-gathering girls of Kashmir and the sort of girl you'll see in this London scene, where a cashmere sweater is a cachet of all that's chic and sleek and a la mode. Come to Srinagar to see the primitive origins of the softest material that Western women regard as the last word in luxury. Srinagar, capital of Kashmir, and the last place you'd expect to find on a fashion map. Consider the improbability of this shantytown start of gossamer loveliness. Just try and equate this market with the Mayfair boutiques, where the richest and ritziest of women will buy the softest and most elegant knitwear that the world has found. Pathé Pictorial's magic carpet has never gone so far from the beaten track to follow a civilized refinement back to its natural habitat, here in the forgotten valley of the Mughal kings. For the Kashmir story starts in the snowy mountains of the east, in a world that the civilized West would never expect to meet or need. The Kashmir story gets even more surprising as you approach its remote source. Who would associate those mountain goats with drawing room finery? Yet that's the only animal in the world with an underfleece so soft that women think of it and mink and champagne and caviar in the same extravagant breath. What a weird, unpredictable link it is, which has set Himalayan goat herds making the name of their lost mountain state a household word in the salons of the world's top capitals, and music in any woman's ears. Notice you comb out this soft underdown. You don't shear it. You tease it out before you send it on a journey to London, Paris, New York. A journey which in itself will take about a year. And the music you associate with this caressing wool, when it's been given its fine, final trimmings, bears no resemblance to this chant of the hills. This is Punjab country, where the air is rare and bracing. Hill station country, sheltered from the monsoon by the great granite mountains that have pushed their way up through the Paleozoic rock. This is the land of deodars with occasional foothill fir trees, the home of the ibex, the brown bear and the Kashmir stag. This is the valley where, surprisingly, you find wild fruit trees, where the unpromising-looking ground is so fertile you can grow bumper crops of Indian corn, rice enough to feed half a continent, asparagus, and any vegetable delicacy you can name. Trouble is, it's so far from anywhere else. Sheer loneliness would empty this valley altogether, were it not for that Western craving for Kashmir wool. There's loneliness in the music of the place. It's hard to equate this pastoral life with the harsh battles there have been at India's northwest frontier, with the wrangling that even now keeps bursting across this deceptively peaceful-seeming valley. Kashmir is a buffer state that nobody wants to live in, but that everybody tries to occupy. It's a place that bristles with ironies and surprises. Nobody you meet has ever been here, said our cameraman, Stan Guzzi, but by some quirk of fate, I've been here twice. And he had to wait for a war to simmer down before he could take these tranquil pictures, before he was allowed to enter this vale of emptiness, where the Jhelum River is the one and only winding highway. What would life be without this waterway? Who could conceive of life on the roof of the world without this outlet? Lake Woola and 80 miles of this mountain river are busy with little boats. They carry the Kashmir wool and the copperware, the silver and the silks, the carved wood that the place is famed for. No two boats are ever quite alike, and it's the same with the huddle of wooden houses in Srinagar, with their balconies and carvings. That precious wool has travelled by mule pack before this Jhelum River stage of its long journey to that strange, unbelievable place, Europe. It'll be long, long months before it reaches you. They're as vague here as to where it's going as we are as to where it's come from. Nominally, they're Mohammedans, these river gypsies in their strange valley, 5,000 feet above the sea. But the Prophet would scarcely recognize these faithful followers. Strange superstitions fill their lives. The abominable snowman lurks in the nearby mountains. Ghostly echoes from the Himalayas answer their shouts. Demons come dancing down the river with the floods. Fires break out in the foothills. Allah is easily displeased. And the old men can always summon up some bygone bogeyman to account for each new workaday accident or to while away time when the sun sets.